Hi, I'm Jim Gary and welcome to Batilipi's Workshop. This video is the 16th and hopefully the final video on the brake refurbishment of my 25-year-old Workhorse-based motorhome. This all started earlier this year when I redid the rear brakes, I redid the front brakes and replaced all the flexible hoses and most of the solid brake hoses. I also replaced the master cylinder and the hydro boost. Then I had to remove a malfunctioning ABS module and replace it with a modern proportioning valve. I was able to bleed the rear brakes, but after all that, I could never get brake fluid through the front brake bleeders. This video shows how that problem was resolved, finally. So please remember, I'm a biologist, not a mechanic. I'm showing you what I did, not what I think you should do. So please consult with a professional mechanic before attempting any brake work. And as always, I welcome any comments or suggestions you may have, and I get good ones on occasion. If you found this video interesting, there are links to my other motorhome videos in the description below. So please like and subscribe. Now let's get on with the video. I've been away for a couple days. I had to take a trip, but I'm back and I'm looking again from the rear of the crossbeam where the proportioning valve is. And this one here seemed dry, but this one, I can't reach it. This one where my thumb is here, that one, that connection there, was a little bit wet, and I had just a couple of drips over the couple days I was gone. So I'm thinking that it was maybe this one that's the right side one that's leaking. But I tightened them both up. Again, I'm just taking them a little bit at a time because I don't want to strip anything. And the other thing is, if you look a little further over, maybe from this side, you can see there's this pressure valve that's attached, and this is basically a sensor, pressure sensor, and you can attach wire so it can control your brake lights. And I'm not sure that that's real tight because I felt maybe a little bit of fluid underneath it. So I'm going to try to tighten it up with a socket wrench and just see, because I remember loosening it to look at it when I first got it, and I may not have tightened it all the way. So it turned out a 7/8 socket fit on that. So I'm going to go ahead and crank it down. It wasn't quite all the way tight. So I took it down probably about a half a turn. It was actually pretty loose. So hopefully that might have been also part of the leak issue. But that's something I've got to keep monitoring as we go, because you know, I don't want to over tighten anything, but I don't want to leak, and you don't even want the slightest leak, because if you have a slight leak you might be tempted just to drive it and then you'll suddenly find yourself down the road with no brakes, because that happened to me when I was a teenager once. So I'm going to be careful about that. So now I'm going to go try to re-bleed the front part of the master cylinder. When I tried to bleed the brakes, I could get fluid out of the rear brakes, but nothing out of the front brakes. And this is the back end of the master cylinder that runs the rear brakes, and this is the front end that runs the front brakes. And I don't want to mess with the bleeding of the master cylinder on this side, so I'm going to leave that connected. On the front end, I'm going to take the fitting out the back. Then I'm going to use one of these devices just to clip off this is pretty slick actually, it'll clip off, seal off the end. And then this is the bleeding kit, so this screws in to the front end. So I have to undo the brake line that goes from the front of the master cylinder to the proportioning valve and replace it with this, and then I'll just run this back in to the reservoir and then pump the brakes up and down and see if I get any more air out. Okay, push it, start pumping. Whoa, again. Man, I think that's all I need for now. So my wife did all the pumping, and I saw air come out the first couple pumps and it stopped. I have this MightyVac device. I've used it in other vehicles for bleeding. It bleeds by pulling a vacuum at the bleeding nipple. And as you can see here, there's still no fluid coming out of the front calipers. So we're under the right front wheel area, and this is the hose that comes from the proportioning valve, and here's where it junctions with the flexible hose that runs to the that runs down under here. to the calipers. So what I did is I couldn't get any fluid out of the bleeder on the caliper, so I disconnected this connection here, and I put the vacuum bleeder here onto that, and within a few strokes of it, fluid was coming out like crazy. And so what I'm going to do now is and yet when I put it back together again, I couldn't get any fluid out of this hole at all, hooking up the vacuum to it. So I'm going to remove this flexible hose and just test it in the shop to make sure it's clear. I replaced both sides at the same time, so who knows, but let's just check this first. So I tried to run air pressure through the flexible hose that went from the junction in the right front rear well down to the caliper, and I couldn't get anything to go, so I ended up taking off that hose. This is the end that connects into the line that couples eventually into the proportioning valve, and this is the banjo fitting that connects into the caliper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the banjo bolt, there's a hole in it, so I can't really measure it directly, but I'll put it in this little tub of water, hold it in the vise temporarily so it doesn't go all wonkers on me. And let's just see if I can blow any air through it. We'll see. So here it is. So to keep an eye on the container, I'll try to get this out of the way. There we go. I'm getting nothing. That is one completely clogged fitting. And I'm going to guess they were both that way, and I'm guessing they're new old stock, and they've been probably sitting around for 25 years. But I'm going to try to run a thin wire through it. So this is some thin iron wire I've got, and it'll need to go about to here. So I'm going to mark that with tape so I'll know. Who knows if I'll even be able to get it through there, but man, this has wasted just days and days of my time tracking this down. Who would have thought my brand new flexible hoses would be the problem? But let's feed this in and just see what happens. But it didn't go all the way through. It stopped. Let's see if I can wiggle it around. It seems to go about to the fitting, the banjo fitting on the other side. Right there, and then it just stops. And it should be coming out that hole, and it is not. So I'll try fiddling with it. Getting something solid there, I don't know what. So let's pull this out, and I'll put a new mark. And let's see if we can't figure out exactly where this is. So that's where we put it in. Yep, it goes to this fitting here and just stops right here. So let's see if we can fish it in the other way. Man, there's something going on there. There it went. And it goes right to here and then just plain stops. So the problem seems to be right at that crimp. So I'm going to take out the other side and see if the same thing is going on there, and then I can just take these down to my friendly hose shop, and have them replicate them. They'll just have to slide these fittings on so they can be attached right. So this is the flexible hose on the left front. So this goes to the tube that runs into the proportioning valve, and this is the banjo fitting that goes to the caliper. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put that into a little bit of water so we can see if bubbles come up. Here's some air. And I already blew through it with my mouth and it wasn't going anywhere, so let's see. Nothing there. So let's go ahead and do the wire trick. That's as far as I can get it to go. The wire's definitely not sticking out. So we can get it in a little further. There it goes, a little more. Oh, like that one. Nope, still hasn't come through. Stops right there. Definitely not coming out that hole. So I got my finger on the spot. The tape keeps sliding around. But let's just see where it ends. This time it almost went, so let's see what happens on the other side. I was able to get it through. Okay, so it went in both ways, so now let's see if that unclogs something. Put that in the water. Oh, there it goes. So now that one's clear, and I see all kinds of crap in there. So this thing had stuff in it, but it's loose now. It's clean now. So I'll blow some more air through it. I'll have to really dry it before I... Yep, now I can see air. Yep, so I can feel it on my thumb. Air's just working its way right through there. So maybe we can unclog to the other side. So let's see what we can do here, maybe. Boy, there's a lot of crap in that tube. Oh, there's that one went. That one went too. Huh. So let's put this up here so you can see the stuff in it. Who would have thought? There it is. Pretty clean. So this is the left one. No, the right one. And now you can see the wire. Hopefully you can see the wire is going right through that banjo fitting. So it's clean. I can blow through both of them now, and I can move the wire pretty freely back and forth. So I think whatever was in there is now out. And if you look in the water, that was clean water originally, and now it's kind of got a lot of crap in it. That was all in those hoses. I don't know how they got so dirty, but again, they were made probably 25 years ago, been sitting around somewhere. Okay, pump it a few times. Okay, hold it down.
Yeah.
Okay, up. How many times? Okay, hold down.
Yep.
Up. How many times? Okay, down.
Yep.
Up. I haven't seen any air out of that one. I'll go to the left. Go down. Yep. Yep. How many times? Go down. Back up. Okay. I still can't get over the fact that both of my new front flexible brake hoses came clogged. It never even occurred to me to test them before installation, but it turned out to be an easy fix, and I now have a good, solid feeling brake system. The Workhorse manual states that a 100-pound force should move the pedal down about 4 inches, whereas mine go down about 6 inches, but it's still another 6 inches to the floor. I suspect that once I drive it a little bit, I can bleed the brakes again to get any residual air out. And right now the brake lights are always on, so I still have to sort that out and also put some extra spacers and supports for the brake hoses, but that will be in a future video. I'm so relieved to have finally gotten the brakes working, and man, they fought me all the way to the bitter end. So I've put links to the other motorhome related videos I've done below. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you're interested in similar videos, please like and subscribe. Bye.